When you hear the sound of the bell, you know you're in the championship rounds with King Amin of Essex. So let's get to it. Some news out there, not too much going on, but we got to talk about what's happening with the super flyweight division, 115 pounds. I'm hearing speculation that Clara Lescurat of Argentina has vacated her WBA title, actually is retiring. Don't know how accurate that is. Could be the case because Samson Lukowicz, her promoter, not keeping her active. She's 11-0 with 4 stoppages. And respectfully, she was food for Jasmine Artiga. I would have loved that fight. But yeah. So another more known 115 pounder super flyweight contender, Leanna Cruz. Now, I believe she's the WBA gold, but I could be wrong. Um, I know she's number 3 in the WBA, and it would just make all the sense in the world if we got Cruz versus Artiga for the vacant WBA title. It would do wonders for the 115-pound division, and I think it will be great for both fighters because it's two American contenders. Both of them can be marketed based on their aesthetics. There's genuine bad blood between the two of them as well. So I'd love to see this fight take shape if in fact it could happen. We'll have to stay tuned to find out. But and again, if in fact Lescurat has retired, salute to her and happy trails. Now, speaking of Cruz, she is back in action on January 18th, super flyweight division. She's fighting German journeywoman, Amy Newart, 11-4 with 3 stoppages. Should be a good bout. This is what we consider a hometown fight for Cruz. It's in Philadelphia, although she's from Allentown, a good ways from Philly. But also featured on that same card with Tiara Brown. So that's next week. Let's stick to what's happening or what we know of a little bit sooner. And as soon as um we got news that Caroline Dubois would have that WBC, right, to be able to take that title into the bout against Jessica Camara, which we'll talk about later. Um, the WBA, which was vacated by Katie Taylor. Stephanie Hahn, 9-0 contender out of El Paso, Texas. She's fighting Han-Terlep. Terlep is 5-1. Lost to Chelsea Anderson. Anderson is undefeated. So one would think, like, why wouldn't it be Chelsea Anderson versus Stephanie Hahn? But politics probably. So yeah, Stephanie Hahn, likely getting a soft touch to becoming the champion. Doesn't really add much depth to 135, but it does assure that any of those ladies that's looking to unify, they're going to try to pick Han off. Now, whether or not she has the experience and the toughness and the attributes to compete against the likes of Ferreira, Dubois, of course, or even Terry Harper, I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. I'm not going to dismiss Stephanie Hahn, but that's what this bout should help us to do. Should she come out victorious, she will be the WBA lightweight division champ. That is February 22nd. So stay tuned for that. Also, these fighters will appear on a card that is live from Newark. Mio Yoshida not going to be headlining, but she will be prominently featured on this card as well. This is in Newark, um, the weekend of February 1st. So this is in a couple weeks, about 3 weeks from now. Nisa Rodriguez. And so two of the fighters on the Puerto Rican Olympic team. So Nisa Rodriguez, of course, the New York police officer, also former national amateur champion, and she's 3-0 with 1 stoppage. She's in action against a opponent to be determined. Building her up. It's great, right across the water. Also building up, who you guys probably need to pay closer attention to, is Elise Soto, 7-0 with 7 KOs. Featherweight. All right. Yes. Yeah. Adding more depth to the already deep featherweight division. Now, the funny thing is, I gotta check. I gotta do my research because I believe there's some sort of proximity or relation, or at least some recognition between Soto and Serrano. But I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't, because this one can only be one per division. She's not gonna elevate any sort of visibility for another girl in her division, Serrano, that is. So I'm just curious. So 7-0, you want to tune in for that. So let's get right to this week's action. I already mentioned Caroline Dubois, who, for all intents and purposes, she, I think, can ascend to be the face of women's boxing in the near future. And she's in action against a hell of an opponent. Now, some things had to, register for me. And when it comes to Jessica Camara, now Jessica Camara out of Canada, 14-4 with 3 stoppages. As a matter of fact, 3 of those losses, right, are extremely solid. Now, 2 of them are to women that are early pioneers of women's boxing that don't get the recognition they deserve. I'm talking one, Natalie Brown, and also Melissa St. Ville. The loss to Callie Reese. So these are great competitors that Kamara has lost to. But however, you heard me mention a WBA gold. Yeah, I thought Kamara had a WBA gold that she won from Hoon Min Choi, the famous hostage taking titleist from South Korea. Be that as it may, the bout with Dubois. Dubois is the unified champion, and coming in with the aforementioned WBC and IBO titles. So maybe the winner of this bout has to fight Stephanie Han, or gets to fight Stephanie Han in a unification. Um, should Han be victorious? Now, is it easy to say Dubois is going to be victorious in this bout? Ideally, skill wise, one would like to think that Dubois is levels above Camara. But when it comes to experience, Camara, as I mentioned, been in there with 2 legit pioneers of women's boxing. And when I say 2 of the early pioneers, I only say because they didn't get the recognition. One pioneer who's getting lots of recognition in and out of the ring, Callie Reese. So yeah, Camara has the experience. Also, former world champion Hoon Min Choi, for what it's worth. She held and defended that WBA title at 130 pounds for a long time, and then I believe she was, awarded a WBA gold for being a long reigning WBA champ. Be that as it may, the experience does lie with Camara, and you'll have to see how Camara can use that experience and try to usurp who I call pretty much the landlord of 135 and also the future face of women's boxing. We're talking about Sweet Caroline and Dubois. Now, on another card, you'll find Ruth Huntley making her pro debut, bantamweight division. She has just been signed to Queensberry Promotions, and she's gonna be making her pro debut against a solid fighter, 1-5, Sarah Orzazki. All right, so Orzazki's never been stopped, so this is a nice, durable test for Huntley just to see how she does under the bright lights. Now, not much going on under the bright lights this week, and so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to subscribe, drop a like, and comment. All right. Thank you guys for joining me as always. And until next time, peace.